Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right, good evening, and welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, and welcome to a special edition of tonight's show. With us, we have Vince Eury. Treasured across the pond is having a voice of Sinatra. It is not only the Brits who have fallen under the spell of Vince Eury's voice. Vince is a quintessential smooth jazz vocalist with a mesmerizing sound. If his voice were a fine wine, it would be a 1947 vintage LaFleur Bordeaux. He brings romance to a love story and peace to an evening at home. It was legendary jazz artist Clay Osborne who said Vince Eury has the voice we've been longing for. Vince is widely recognized in Washington, D.C. for his jazz vocals and was handpicked to perform in President Barack Obama's We Are One Inauguration concert, where he shared a stage at Lincoln Memorial with such icons as Bruce Springsteen, Beyoncé, and Jamie Foxx. Since deciding to pursue his music full-time, Vince has released 4 new singles, one of which, The Nearness of You, was selected for the soundtrack of The Serial Cheater, a web series by Silk White. So without further ado, please help me welcome to my platform, Mr. Vince Eury. Hey, Vince, how are you?
Kimberly, how are you?
I'm excited. I'm good. I'm excited about you being on the show tonight, though.
I'm excited to be here. We've been friends a long time, so it's my pleasure, and I'm honored to have been invited, so thank you.
And you're very welcome. And exactly for the listeners who are out here listening, yes, as Vince just said, we have known each other for many years. I mean, probably almost since the whole time I've been here, and I've been here almost 15 years. And I know it's 12 to 13, somewhere around there. So we've got a lot of history, great friend, great coworker. I mean, we have known each other for a long time. So I'm so excited to have Vince on the show this evening so he can talk about his journey and what you've been up to and how you got all into the jazz music and everything. So Vince, why don't you tell the listeners just a little bit more about who Vince Eury is?
Well, you know, I'm just a guy from North Carolina who God has blessed. You know, first of all, he gets all the honor and the praise for everything that's going on in my life. And there's a lot that's going on in my life. So, but you know, I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by great people, a great support staff, you know, great people who have influenced me in the music industry, and you know, and good solid circle of friends, and I think that's one of the most important things that you can have.
Absolutely, absolutely.
My journey has been, you know, a lead vocalist from the Navy Band. When I came to the area, singing with Patrick Lundy and the Ministers of Music. Shout out to Patrick Lundy. Please get his new release entitled Waymaker. I've been able to work with Roderick Giles. He's been a great friend, encouraging friend. He has a long list of credits, so please Google Roderick Giles. The Unified Jazz Ensemble, the group that I play with mostly, and when we go into the studio, just outstanding musicians, Paris Spivey, Pete Chapman. It all goes back to my high school days, junior high school days, Cynthia Cribble, very encouraging. You know, the list goes on and on. I'm not going to be able to name everyone who's influenced me and who's helped me. My wife, Robin, I'm a newlywed.
Yes,
my wife, Robin, has been amazing. Thank you so much. She's been amazing to me and been such an influence. And I'm so blessed to have her by my side as we continue our journey. You know, there's a lot going on with us as well, and she plays piano, so you know.
Oh wow!
It's a musical situation going on in here.
Hey, there you go, another album coming out. There you go, Robin. I know you're listening, so we're gonna put you on the piano. There you guys go. Oh, awesome! But Vince, talk about as a young man, what really touched you in wanting to get involved and start singing and understanding jazz? Talk about that.
Well, when I was a kid, I used to stay up late, and this was New York. I lived in New York until I was about 7 years old. And I know I'm dating myself, but there was Nat King Cole had a show that came on late night, and I would sneak and watch it on a television show. I was amazed by his voice, the songs that he sang, the artists that he invited to the show. So I was influenced by jazz a long, long time ago. And of course, music pulled me in different directions, gospel and R&B and things of that nature. But jazz was always my home. It was always something that, just touched me in a certain way. It's songs like Mona Lisa, and when I was introduced to Johnny Hartman, who's now my vocal mentor, I say, because most of the songs that I do now are based on the list of Johnny Hartman. So just amazing songs, the stories behind those songs, the influences. And we have to, in my opinion, we have to honor the great ones because they paved the way for us to be here. So I honor them as best I can by singing their songs, my own interpretation.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. And there's so many amazing jazz artists. Like I said, you can't even name most of them. There's so many of them. But, for you to take on that thought and that process at a young age was like, oh, wow, this amazing voice of Nat King Cole, that says something about the inner portion of you. And like I was reading in your bio, you are very romantic. So you tell a love story and that's how you sing. And then for somebody like Clay Osborne, who, for those who don't know, is the brother of R&B great Jeffrey Osborne, for him to say, you are that voice that people have been longing for, that says a lot. So throughout your journey, as you said, we know that you sung in the Navy. And of course, we want to talk and we're going to push back to all the years through high school. And how did you really come to figure out that you were really going to take it serious, that this is what you wanted to do, is to sing, truly become a singer, a musician, and an artist?
Well, that credit goes to junior high school when I was under the direction of Cynthia Pribble, and before her, I can't remember her first name, but Mrs. Morrison. Because when I came from New York and came into the junior high school in North Carolina, I was a standout because I was an outsider, and so everybody picked at me because of the New York accent and things like that. Mm-hmm. And so I had to think of a way to stand out above the crowd, for them to kind of back off of me and leave me alone. So one day, Miss Morrison and I was being a class clown, and I'm sorry, but Miss Morrison stopped me and said, "Vincent, you get up here right now, and I'm going to make you sing the song." And everybody was like, "Oh, you're in trouble," and things like that. So, but when I went up there to sing, a hush came over the crowd, as they say. And that's kind of like when this whole thing started. And so Mrs. Pribble, in her infinite wisdom, just kind of stuck me out front because I was generally shy. So she would stick me out front so that I could sing. And it helped polish what you hear and hopefully what everybody's going to download today.
That's right. Because we got some treats for everybody later on. Yeah.
So yeah, she really pushed me out front, and I went on to sing in her choir for the remaining of my high school years under Mrs. Pribble. Went on from her direction to Pfeiffer College, studied music for a year under the direction of Dr. Richard Brewer, God rest his soul. And from there, I joined the Navy Band, and so it just took off from there. In the Navy Band, you had to be very versatile, but once I was in the big band, singing big band jazz, that's when, things really started to happen. That's when I found my home. Okay. So.
Well, the thing I like about your story is that, the challenges that you had as a young man, somebody was able to see that you were much more than just being a clown. And, a class clown. And, and because you are shy, and I know that teacher is right, because I've known you a long time and you are very shy. You've always have been an introvert. So,
Yeah,
just to even get you to talk at work, it was like pulling teeth. I'm like, hello, I got to talk to you every day. Can you please say something? So, it's just, but what amazes me is that, people can always see something in you that we can't see within ourselves. And when you have somebody who generally, truly cares about their students and about people as individuals, she did not want you to be that label. And, exactly. So to make you stand up there and sing in a classroom, I think I would have been freaking out, to be like, what? You want me to do what? But you had enough bravery to stand up and say, you know what? I'm going to shut these people all down, and they're going to listen to me, and they're going to stop talking about me. And that says a lot about who you are, because, you're very humble, Vince. All the years I've known you, and, you've always been a very humble person. You always put other people first. You always have been in the background. But now look at you, you have definitely have moved yourself to the forefront. So how are you handling all of this newness of truly being this full-time, jazz artist, even though, we obviously know you have another life, on the side as well, but your focus is about the jazz now. How has this really changed you, and what are you going to be doing, and what are you working on? All those great things that our listeners want to hear about.
Well, I think it's changed me because, again, they wrote great stories, and they do today. I'm not taking anything away from today's artists, but the stories that were written long ago are great stories, and that's what are considered standards because they never die, they never go away. And if you read the lyrics of some of these songs, it's it touches the heart. I mean, it's a true feeling and meaning of love, the nearness of you. It's not the pale moon that delights me, that thrills or excites me. It's just the nearness of you. Who says that? You know what I mean? So,
right. Not especially today. It's all about getting right to the point, right?
Exactly. Let's get to the point. What are we messing around for?
Right.
We doing this or what?
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about? The nearness of who? But the key word, but like you said, it's listening to the words, and it's about love. It's about romance. It's about peace. It's all those things that, to be honest with you, is what we really need today and have always needed. And we talk about this a lot on every show, every week, about the fact that, we have been put into a whole different type of year. And it's making us sit back and think about a lot of things in our lives, personally, professionally, our friends, our families, everything that we would normally not sit back and have the time because we're always too busy to do whatever it is we think we have to do. And we have literally this year have been pretty much brought to our knees to some degree of saying, you know what, you have to be at home. You have to start focusing. You're here, whether you want to be here or not. And so to be able to sit down and listen to one of your songs, it brings you that peace and that joy that, you don't always get to hear, because like you said, it tells a true story. You're talking about something as simple, like I said, just being next to somebody versus just being on top of somebody. There's a huge difference when it comes to that type of music. So when you decide to pick out the songs that you want to sing, how do you go about doing that, and how do you connect with those songs?
Everybody has their own story, and so it's all about interpretation for me. So when I listen to a song, and I listen to a lot of songs, I put it into my life. How is that? How is the song affecting me? How did it come to be that this is a part of me? In order for me to express myself that way, I have to put myself into the song. And if I can do that and feel the words and get emotionally attached, then that's the one I'll choose. And I also reach out. I have a group of listeners that I'll get opinions from. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? And so we'll have a group chat and discuss options and things of that nature. But if a song touches me, lyrics alone, then I'm interested at the start.
So have you
relatable.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine. It's relatable.
Okay. So what I was going to ask, so have you been working on writing your own new songs?
I had a book of lyrics that I used to write songs in a long time ago, mostly poems. They started out as poems, but I turned them into songs. And, between moving and relationships and things like that, it became destroyed.
Oh.
And so I haven't written any songs lately, but that's something that I want to get back into doing.
That's right, because you have a lot of new love going on there. You're a newlywed. You have all types of love songs that you owe us all, okay?
Absolutely.
So Robin needs to let you know you need to get on top of it, get things going here. I'm sure you have. We're going to
collaborate. I'm going to have her help me.
There you go. See, there you go. That's right. So that'll be a new album we'll be looking for in 2021. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just putting it out there for you, in the atmosphere. But the one thing I do have to ask is that how was it sharing the stage at the Lincoln Memorial with Bruce Springsteen and Beyoncé and Jamie Foxx? I mean, and there's many of us who would love to have been on that stage. How was that moment for you?
Well, I don't want to say too much about that because I don't want to misspeak. But I give all the credit to Mrs. Joyce Garrett, Patrick Lundy, Dr. Lundy. They, all of the organization involved with that was on their laps, and they put it together beautifully. I'm honored to still be an alumni member of the Ministers of Music. I mean, an outstanding professional group of people and a professional leadership. I'm just blessed. There were a select few that were picked. I was selected, and it was the coldest, if you can remember, the coldest.
Yes, it was. I was one of those fools out there, and soon as, cold all day. All day long, wind blowing, the whole 9 yards. So, but it was just an amazing thing to see, and I was trying not to get starstruck, but there's Beyonce right there, right.
There's Jamie Foxx, you're coming down the steps, and Jamie Foxx is telling the group, "Oh, you guys sound great," and I'm like, "You're Jamie Foxx right now,"
Exactly. It's like,
do you know who you are?
Right.
And so. But
awesome.
Again, with that, you learn to, Patrick Lundy had a way of grooming each and every one of us, and they're over 25 years strong. They're still going, and I love everything that they do right now. I'm like I said, I'm no longer an active member in the group, but I consider myself always a member because I'm an alumni. Again, Waymaker, their newest project, it's absolutely amazing. So shout out to Dr. Lundy and the Ministers of Music.
Well, that's awesome. So, Dr. Lundy, I hope that you're listening. And if you haven't been, we're going to make sure that you do, because we want you to know that we are talking about you and everybody else, because Vince loves you guys. And, and we know
Absolutely.
that it's those paths that, people put forward and those footsteps to help you get to where you want to get to in life. That's very important that you show that appreciation. And you were, like I said, you've always been that person. So, for you being chosen and handpicked to be a part of that concert, We Are One Inauguration, I can understand completely why they chose you. Like I said, because you're very humble, and all you want to do is serve, and you've been serving for many years. So now, though, like I said, you are the one who is in the spotlight. And I want to talk a little bit about The Nearness of You and how it was selected as a soundtrack. And talk a little bit about The Serial Cheater.
We talked earlier offline, but I'm a one-stop shop for marketing and promotions and everything else. So, when everybody's sleeping, I work. I want to stay ahead of the game. So, I stroll through YouTube and Instagram and anything like that, and I'm looking for new directors, new producers, new somebody's short films and anything like that. How can I become a part of their soundtrack? And so I reached out to Silk White and quite a few other people and on Instagram, and Silk White said, "Send me your stuff, send me your license for the song, send me your stuff." He listened to it. He said, "Absolutely." Somebody, I feel like this. Somebody helped him out, so he wants to help someone else out. and I happened to be at the right place at the right time. I'm sure people, come to him all the time, but I sent him my music. He selected the one that he wanted. It was all legit. And he told me, the next thing I know, he was emailing me, telling me what episode the song would be on.
Wow.
I don't have that information in front of me now, but I tuned in, and sure enough. And so, I don't know, we can go back in the history of my Facebook. I post everything.
Okay.
I'm so proud of me. So I actually posted the credits rolling so people could see my name.
Well, it's okay to put yourself out there once in a while, Vince. It's really okay. It's called promotion, okay?
Exactly. But that was a great experience, and we still communicate today. He hasn't, unfortunately, he hasn't used any more of my material, but that's not to say that he won't,
Right.
And if he can't use anything, maybe he could dish it off to his circle of friends.
Absolutely.
And who knows where things like that lead. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's those connections is what's important in everything that you've done.
Yes.
You've had those connections throughout your whole life and of course throughout your whole musical life, even when you didn't know it was going to become this type of career or, this type of push into being something full time. Yes. It's those everyday connections that, like I said, you never know where it's going to take you to. So, you've got these 4 new singles. Talk a little bit about your release 4 new singles for me, please.
The Nearness of You is an amazing song. It's one of those songs where, you just want to kind of chill out and dim the lights and, just kind of soft music, and you're at the end of a rough day, kind of wine sipping type of songs, and most of them are. It's just a love story, It's about a man who loves a woman so much that he wants her to know, it's none of these other things. It's all about you, I just want to be with you. The nearness of you touches my heart, and so. The other songs, Autumn Serenade is one of the upbeat. It's got kind of a Latin feel to it. Somebody said, Vince, when are you going to do something upbeat? And that's what I could come up with. I was able to work with Bruce Swaim, who's also on Facebook, BruceSwaim.com, I believe is his website. Gave an incredible saxophone solo, along with the Unified Jazz Ensemble. Let's see, in the wee small hours of the morning. That song was actually the first, when I stepped out and started recording, I talked to Pete Chapman. He said, come on over and let's make it happen. So shout out to Pete Chapman. Hopefully he's listening from Maryland. Outstanding keyboard player, producer. I called one of my Navy buddies and asked if they knew a good guitar player in the area. And without hesitation, he gave me Paris Spivey. Wow. Paris Spivey plays guitar on the song. And it's amazing. In the wee small hours of the morning is one of those songs. And it's only like a little over 2 minutes long, but it's one of my personal favorites. One, because it was the first one I did. While the whole wide world is fast asleep, you lie awake and think about the girl and never ever. I can't even. I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. I did a video actually, a music video of In the Wee Small Hours of the Morning, and it's on my YouTube page.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Is that how you weaned and wound, Robin? Is that what you did? Did you sing to her?
Okay, secret is out.
So you just do exactly what you do, fellas. If you're not listening, this is how you get it done, okay? So.
It's a funny story with that. Robin and I, we went to junior high school together. And we just ran in different crowds. We never talked to each other or anything like that. Never dated, just had different interests back then, and, when we went to the high school, I went to one high school, and Robin and her family left to go to another state. and that she was gone.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next time I saw Robin was like 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's funny
So,
how time, you just never know. And see, like a friend
exactly.
you've known all these years and now has become your lovely wife. And like I said, again, congratulations on you guys' new marriage. And, you know, I mean, that's just awesome. You just got so many wonderful things going on for you. But I do have a couple more questions. So
Sure.
You talk about, you know, being into this business. You were talking about how you were a one-man show, so to speak. So talk about that journey a little bit and how important it is to do what you're doing, and then give the advice if someone was to ask about, hey, how do I start my own music career? What advice would you give to them?
I would say to that person, just, you know, make as many connections as possible. Your circle is your circle that you have has so many different levels of people that they can reach out to. You know, I always say this to people. I've never seen a Starbucks commercial, ever. Mm-hmm. But they are the number one company in the coffee industry. You know what I mean? So It's all word of mouth. You know, so get your friends and your friends' friends and your friends who have friends to talk about you. Don't be afraid to knock on doors. Don't be afraid to go to the radio station. The old school, you know, we used to walk around and knock on doors. You know, it wasn't electronic. Shake some hands. Get involved with these after work parties and things like that. Pass out some cards. Let people know what you do. You know, show up at a karaoke bar. You know, the main thing is you can perform, or you can, you know, display your talent to millions of people. Mm-hmm. It only takes that one person to say, I want to take a chance on you.
Absolutely.
But they're never going to know unless you put yourself out there.
That's right. That's right. And of course, you know, with things being a little different today, you know, because we don't have the opportunities to get out as much, but now you do have the technology. And with that technology, you can even reach further to see, so people can hear your music and they can see your videos. And, you know, soon we would love to see you live on a Facebook Live, you know, doing your thing. You know, it's all these different things now that we are forced to do differently because we can't always be in the same room now with people. But you have definitely shown a whole different side of Vince Eury that I never knew really existed. I knew you sung and sang, but I didn't know this part until one day I seen all this come out. I was like, wait a minute. Where is this coming from? So it's just amazing. I'm just so excited for you and just so proud to see that, you know, you are living your dream finally and doing the things that you love the most, something that you have been talking and doing and showing since a young man. And, you know, it just proves every day that dreams do come true. But a part of it also proves that you have to be willing to step into those dreams in order to make them happen. And so, so you were definitely doing everything you're supposed to do. And like I said, congratulations again. But Vince, could you tell everybody how they can find you and where they can get your music and all that good stuff?
You can find me on www.vinceeury.com. When you visit the site, you'll be able to download my songs, and there are going to be more coming. You'll be able to read a little bit more about me, and also it's a gateway to another website that has more songs. So on that, you'll see ReverbNation.com. I'm also on allaboutjazz.com. Again, you got to put yourself out there, you know. You can email me for business inquiries at The Jazz Singer, and that's SINGA. So The Jazz Singer at gmail.com. I'm also on IG, The Jazz Singer. I'm also on Twitter, The Jazz Singer.
So y'all get this, right? The Jazz Singer, okay? You cannot mess this up.
No, but, you know, I do. I appreciate you. I appreciate your platform. I'm thrilled about the opportunity that you would want to interview me. Again, we've been friends forever, so I feel like I'm, you know, just catching up with an old friend. And, you know, keep up the great work. I tune in often, so I'm proud of what you're doing, and I hope to hear from you more.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the kind words. And again, I appreciate you being on my show. For everyone who's listening, if you're missing out on this live show this evening, you would definitely have to come back and listen. The replay is always going to be available. You can download the mobile app of Your Resource for Success podcast, which is on Google. And then as well, you can either go to the website at www.spillc.com and listen to every one of the previous interviews, as well as you can go to many of the other platforms such as iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, you name it. We're on all over the place, so there's no reason why you can't listen and support these amazing people who I've interviewed for the last 4 years. There's so many great interviews and great stories, explaining and people understanding what it really means about being in business and our journeys in life. So, please support them. Please support WWSBI, of course. We would love to have you sponsor a show as well. So, hey, reach out to me if you're interested in doing that. But before we go, Vince, I want you to tell the listeners about what they're going to hear from you tonight as our closeout.
Well, the listeners are going to hear In the Wee Small Hours of the Morning, and it features Paris Spivey on guitar and Pete Chapman. So it's like I said, it's one of those great songs. It doesn't last long. It doesn't need to. It says what it says. It talks about love, and it's just one. It was one of my first songs that I recorded when I left the Navy Band. I'm so proud of it, and I hope you enjoy it.
All right. Well, you guys heard it live from Mr. Vince Eury. So we are going to be closing out the show this evening with this amazing song. And Vince, again, I do thank you for coming on this evening with me and spending a little time. I'll let you get back to your world. I know it's busy, but for everyone else, we're here every Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Interesting. Good Lord. It's been a long day. Eastern time, people. And so we'll see you here back.
It is an interesting time.
Oh, it has been. I'm telling you, like I said, we talked earlier and I was just like, woo, both of us are going through this major same circle. So anyway, things will get better and things will continue to move forward. But until next time, we'll see you here next Thursday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern, and you all have a good night. And then, like I said, we're going to turn on this amazing song by Mr. Vince Eury, The Wee Small Hours of the Morning. Listen in closely.
In the wee small hours of the morning, while the whole wide world is fast asleep, you lie awake and think about the girl, and never ever think of counting sheep. While the lonely heart has learned its lesson, you'd be hers if only she would call. In the wee small hours of the morning, that's the time you miss her most. When the sun sets high in the afternoon sky, you can always find something to do. But from dusk till dawn, as the clock ticks on, something happens to you. When the lonely heart has learned its lesson, you'd be hers if only she would call. In the wee small hours of the morning, that's the time you miss miss her most of all. That's the time